I'm Mitch Polonsky. I'm Director of Product Marketing for SMSC for their analog products. And what I'm going to show you today is SMSC's RightTouch capacitive sensors and how you can use them for proximity applications. So first, let's start with proximity. What does that mean? Proximity means if I'm going to approach an application, it will recognize my approach and respond to it. So what are the good uses for proximity? There are two main good uses for proximity, and I'm sure a creative field of people can think of more. But the two main uses that are good are, one, standby power. So maybe you don't want your application to be at main power, at full power all of the time. You can use proximity and the approach of somebody to turn on your application. And in the meantime, as we're sensing the approach, we can keep everything down to a lower power level. Second use for proximity is the use of proximity for industrial design. So maybe you'd like to have a nice black finish industrial design, but you still have some menu items that you want to appear as somebody approaches. You can do this with proximity. As somebody approaches, the application recognizes the approach, and you can change that nice black finish to showing some menu items. So industrial design and also saving on standby power. Two good uses for proximity. Okay, so I'm going to show you SMSC's RightTouch boards and how we use proximity with them. We've got two different boards. The first board, this is for the CAP 11XX family of RightTouch devices. And on this board, the way you can realize proximity is with this orange bar at the bottom. This is laid out on the actual PCB of this board, and you can see what kind of distances you can expect if you do a similar layout in your design or use something on a PCB to initiate proximity. That's the CAP 11XX family board. Here we have the CAP 1114 board, and on this board the proximity channel will always be CS1. And we've got a loop antenna on the PCB so that you can recognize proximity as you approach this board, or we actually have the ability to hook up a loop antenna externally on this board so you can choose to do proximity that way. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So with the CAP 1114 board, what we've done is we've created a loop antenna that comes off the board. And you get this with the demo board when you order it. What you see here is 30 gauge wire that's looped around this plastic frame. So the loop antenna is about the size of this black plastic frame. And we're going to connect it to the board. Okay. So let's see what kind of distances we can get with that type of loop antenna connected to the CAP 1114 board. We're going to come over to our user environment now. And what we're going to see here in the user environment, first is that same loop antenna connected to CS1 input. And right now it's in normal mode. So I'm going to approach this loop antenna. And we can actually see that this loop antenna recognizes me when I get to about 12 centimeters away from the board, which is kind of impressive. But we actually haven't even gotten into proximity mode yet. Another area of importance when we talk about these loop antenna and proximity modes are the noise aspects of the environment. One thing that you need to be cognizant of when you do these antennas is that we are creating an antenna. We're looking for signal from the environment. So you need to have a system that will filter out that noise. RightTouch Products does this for you automatically. We have RF detection and filtering, and we also filter out for a lot of system noise. So when you're purchasing RightTouch for proximity, you're already protected for these noise sources. And we do this very well and automatically. Okay, so what you again see is our user interface, very low noise bounce, and we're actually using a loop antenna. We're now going to increase the gain on our system by putting this loop antenna into proximity mode and seeing how much extra distance we can get. Okay, so now the system is in proximity mode, and I'm going to approach this antenna, and lo and behold, we now get something more like 25 centimeters. So using RightTouch products in our proximity mode, you can use loop antennas to get impressive distances of up to 25 centimeters. I'm Mitch Polonsky, this is RightTouch, and this is how you implement proximity with it.
For more information, visit smsc.com.